Your words are sweet, they're sweet like honey. I eat them up by the spoonful, honey. I cash them out like it's cold hard money. Honey, honey.
foray into the streaming experience. We are raising some money for the Honeybee Conservancy, which is a non-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting bees and securing food justice through education and research on habitat creation and advocacy. However, if the show is free, so if you don't have anything to give, then that is no problem at all. I would encourage you to follow the links that are on the Facebook event page for all of the artists. If you like what you hear tonight, then check that out. There's no, oh, great. All right. Wasn't picking up the sound at first. All right, where did you guys hear from? Evan will let me know. Yeah. Okay. We're going to start over one more time for those of you who might have missed the beginning of my riveting introduction. I want to welcome everybody.
I don't know if it means anything, but I got all of that.
Yeah, but people who are streaming, they have a different experience. So welcome everybody to the Honeysucker Denial Tales release party for my single that comes out tomorrow on Spotify and all the platforms. Rather than just doing another show for you with all of my music, I was really interested in introducing you to a lot of my favorite performers from throughout the country. This had been a favorite part of my experience doing shows back in New York City, creating a space for people to come together and enjoy, the audience and the performers, creating a platform for performers to show their craft and their creativity. And so I'm really excited for this streaming experience to be that. And we would love your feedback. Please, 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 through Facebook, through anything else. We want to know if this felt like a valuable show experience for you. So please do share that. A bit more about the track, Honeysucker. This is a song that I wrote a number of years back, but only more recently found a producer who I worked with to come help bring it to its form that you're going to hear tomorrow. Eric Ziller is somebody who has worked with a lot of really wonderful bands, and he and I worked together on a single of mine called Lighter, which many of you have heard, and if you haven't, I hope you check that out. I performed it on stage with a huge variety of friends in different venues around the city and around the country. One of those is Johnny Butler, who I want to shout out, even though he couldn't be here as part of the show tonight. Another is Mari, who loves singing harmonies on this and is one of our performers tonight. Another part of the collaborative and creative process was doing the video shoot for the photo shoot for the single artwork. I actually posted something on Instagram about that story today because these shots look all provocative, but I was 7.5 months pregnant, and it was the reveal of those pictures is there. So if you're somebody who likes the backstory, please check that out. Fortunately, tonight's performers, this cast of talented people, have all agreed to do the show for free out of the kindness of their hearts. We are raising some money. My Venmo link is in there. Anything that comes to me in the next 24 hours is going to be going to the Honeybee Conservancy, naturally, for Honeysucker. It's a non-for-profit organization that's dedicated to protecting bees and securing food justice through education and research and habitat creation. So please feel free to give to that if you are so inspired. You could also just go to everybody's individual artist link and check them out, buy their merch, start following them, DM them and give them some money. We could all certainly use at this time. The arts really need your support. I would like us to get started with the show. And our first performer tonight is Daniel Rein. He is performing from his son's bedroom because he lives in New York City. So his piano is in his baby's room, or his baby is in his piano room. And he is going to do a piece that he wrote in collaboration with Edgar Allan Poe, Postmortem. Every one of the performers here tonight chose their own piece, with the exception of Daniel. I asked him to do this particular one because it really resonated with me, connected with the notion of denial. He grew up in Jerusalem, Israel, amid a cultural mosaic that blends Jewish, Christian, and Islamic influences. As an artist shaped by the cultural diversity of his native city, Daniel's work as a pianist, composer, and balladeer encompasses multiple musical genres. And with that, I would like to pass the baton to Daniel.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. I'm in Brooklyn. It's true. I'm in my son's bedroom. The crib is there. And the diaper changing table is there. And the piano is here. So I'm not gonna say a lot. I'm not a man of many words. I'm gonna sing a song of many words. That's my interpretation of Edgar Allan Poe's classic, The Raven, for which I'm gonna take off the headphones from my ears. Be warned, it's long. Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, rapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven from the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, for its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For one cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." And the bird said, "Nevermore." The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff this kind nepenthe and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a sated maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Clasp her air and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the dust about my door. Take thy beak from off my heart and take thy form from off my door. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on that pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow shall be lifted nevermore. Thank you.
Bees have 5 eyes.
Thank you, Daniel, so much. Thank you, Dolores. Daniel, that was wonderful. The theme of denial is something that everybody can connect with. If you can't, then you are in denial. The things in my life that I'm in most denial about right now are the fact that I can still stay up to 1 a.m. with a 4-month-old who doesn't sleep and do shit like this. Next up, we have actor, writer, MC Malik Work. I first met Malik probably a decade and a half ago on the Lower East Side. I believe it was at New Blue. I gotta look at him. New Blue? Was it at New Blue?
I'm pretty sure it was at New Blue, yes.
Pretty sure it was at New Blue.
I was doing Tuesdays or something like that.
Tuesdays, yep. And Malik and I used to do shows together back in the day. And then more recently, I actually called on him because he does a lot of theater to help me sharpen a set that I wanted to present, not just like a string of songs, but more like a one-woman show. So we reconnected recently, and I'm really psyched that he's here to bring us a piece about how denial connects to his world. Take it away, Malik.
The undead, zombies of the global empire. We are the deniers while the world is on fire. Open up your blinders. Recognize the fibers of bondage sold to you by professional liars. Snap out of it. Distractions. Alcohol, tobacco, the Matrix, the Facebook, the ID, the Plaxo, the news propaganda. It's censored and it's slanted. The gap between the rich and the poor is getting gigantic. Thieves profiting off pillaging the planet. Been had the advantage since they crossed the Atlantic. Fire gun. Shot in your back, you try to run. They say, you don't know the message of God, where thou art from. Give me gold, give me your sugar, give me your rum. Let me suck all the honey out the earth till it's done. Zombie, live on my plantation. Pay me rent, pay me debt, that's the situation. Buy diamonds, big fashion, no question. You a zombie, go to war, go to sleep and forget who you are. You a zombie. Take your drugs. Take a pill. Take a hit. Take a chug. You a zombie. Just consume and refuse to believe the truth. You a zombie. Don't even know who you are, cold-blooded with a scar growing over your heart. Ah, whoever's starving, that's really not your problem. It's a free market. Pull yourself from the bottom. Zombies can have a suit and a tie or just jeans, but they got that dead look in their eye. They like staring at screens and typing to talk, mind-altering prescriptions, and addicted to sports, or addicted to flows, or addicted to shows, blindfold so they don't have to see what's under their nose. War, destruction, anything for the money. Economic hitmen, anything for the money. Armed child soldiers, anything for the money. Communism, terrorism, the boogeyman is coming. Give me some more money. That's the corporate mantra of the zombie, insatiably hungry. Who can we be? Let us be whistleblowers for peace. Let us see through manipulations and the lies of the beast. Who are we? Societies build and connect when we meet, because a slight to anybody's rights, a slight to us each. Who are we? Truth seekers, always willing to teach, digging deep with the opportunity to change our beliefs. Who are we? We expose some of the greediest cheats and exploiters of the planet within colonial reach. The human family is closer together than ever before. Pictures and posts across the most remote and most distant shores. More information and knowledge bouncing around hour to hour. More opportunity to change the world, because knowledge is power. And connection is power, and boundaries can be broken. So we are chosen by history to expand our notions of what prosperity and progress mean for the world. Not just the tidy little boxes into which we are hurled over and over. Minds swirl with petty selfish desires, and we wonder why we're uninspired just to live any higher. Hide and blame it on the system, screaming fire, burn fire. I'm talking organized for the type of change that doesn't expire. Change of mind defeats tyrants since beginning of time. We need to hurry before they finally make thinking a crime. When we celebrate Columbus on his annual day, we celebrate indigenous genocide and the business of slaves in the name of gold, cotton, and the crops of the day. But the resources of foreign lands, we aren't welcome to stay. But today, money and guns can run a coup of the state and keep the land's bounty chopped up on the corporate plates. And it never trickles anywhere down but in a safe of a handful of investors in an entire different place. First case in point, in the late 1800s, to be safe, King Leopold successfully creates the Congo Free State, meaning he was free to plunder all the ivory, all the rubber. His imperial brothers, he played them for a sucker under the guise of free trade, but only free between each other. Split that raw African pie and later figure out the numbers. Under his royal guidance, he would civilize the savage, because if not having a colony was hunger, he was famished. He was vicious, never having drawn a sword from off his breeches, ordered slaughtered for the money from the safety of office. His Belgians snacked on chocolate hands. It was the fashion of the moment. Africans got hands chopped off when they didn't reach their quotas. Who's the savage? Who's the cannibal? The bloodthirsty barbarian, while fronting like his interests are pure humanitarian, the colonists. Their followers, material idolaters for which aggressive military philosophy is popular. Powermongers, foreign monsters, terrorize the right and proper inherited rights of man to live his life and try to prosper. Only if it benefits a path into their pocket lining. Souls are never settled until they looking at their profits climbing. If money is the blood of the economy, they vampiring. Nosferatu, damn to hunt their former families. Cannons firing, fire raining, bombs dropping, fortune booming, stocks are rocking. Shutting down is not an option. Double down and keep it popping. Shut it down is the only option. Double down, keep it popping, shout them out. Conflict merchants that exacerbate the problems. For that ivory, that coffee, that copper, that oil, that coltan, that cobalt, that uranium in your soil, that gold and diamonds, that salt and that rubber, that coca, that silk and that sugar.
A productive queen bee lays one egg every 43 seconds. That's 2,500 eggs a day.
Fascinating, Dolores. Thank you, Malik. That was really, really cool to hear you do something without music behind you. his band was called the Real Live Show, and he would bring together some of the best cats in New York to play, and it was raucous, and there were so many people and so much energy. But you bring a lot of energy, just you. That was great. And Dolores, these beef facts are fascinating. Now, I would like to bring to the table my dear friend, Lena Rudnick. Lena and I have collaborated together on myriad projects. We just released the Disappear music video, which I hope you guys check out. And we have something else in the pipelines now. When I first brought the idea of this show around, I brought it to Lena first. And Lena had something that she is going to tell you a bit about now. Before I pass it to her, I'd like to share a couple other things about Lena. She is a filmmaker whose passion is telling hysterically dysfunctional relationship stories and investigating the self, society, and the cosmos. Lena?
Hi. So I'm the writer of A Girl's Guide to Surviving Her Father's Wedding, which is about a very specific case of denial that I underwent quite recently. The story's been told at various storytelling shows, but tonight you have the absolute privilege of seeing it performed by the extremely talented Rosie Moss. Rosie is currently performing the piece with the braid in a show, For Goodness Sake, which is touring the world via Zoom. And the show's been directed by David Chu and Sophie Greenbaum and has just been extended for a longer tour. So please do check it out and enjoy.
Okay. I'm at the wedding rehearsal dinner, picking at my frisee salad and glowering when my dad leans over and asks, "Lena, will you be my best man?" His wedding is tomorrow. The ask puts a snag in my plan to be the sulkiest, iciest bitch I can be. I'm 30-ish, channeling my inner teenager and radiating disgust all over this picturesque Colorado mountaintop. It's my dad's ploy to get me on board, and it's not going to work. My dad and I have always been really close, so when he starts dating this woman, I'm pissed. She's close to my age. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that she and I don't like each other. And while it's not a congeniality contest, I'm generally likable. And her employer requires her to take workshops on how to be nice because she's received so many complaints. Sometimes I see her try nice techniques and it's like a horse walking on two legs. Technically possible, but hard to ignore the strain. My dad apologizes for her. Lena, she grew up having to fight for everything in this life because she only has one arm. All I hear is this underlying subtext that I'm spoiled. See, last December, my brother and I discovered on a fraught holiday trip that they were engaged. We pieced it together from subtle clues like a modern bride on the coffee table, an engagement ring on her finger. I was going through a tough breakup and had just finished a gig in my still unmoored career. I was desperate for familial attention, plus I had Airbnb'd my apartment for longer than I had intended. The night I arrived, she asked if I could cut my trip short because they wanted to be alone. I left, spending my New Year's alone in a friend's apartment in Brooklyn. A week later, I told him on the phone, "Dad, you're making a terrible mistake. You're going to end up miserable." I wanted some sort of reaction, but got nothing. He didn't care how I felt. We don't talk until the rehearsal dinner when he asks me to be his best man. Oh, so the night before the wedding, she's making her own floral arrangements because 2 florists have fired her. The pollen dyes her prosthetic arm bright yellow, which is terrible. And the emotional wake of the catastrophe is so extreme that for a second it looks like the entire wedding is going to be called off. But 4 o'clock, guests start to arrive. My dad's friends come over and offer condolences. One even offers to give my toast for me. Am I expected to give a toast? The officiant who looks exactly like Bernie Sanders pulls me over. I'm the best man, and the maid of honor is the bride's father. He's ancient and can barely hear or walk. We're the entire wedding party. Bernie instructs us on our job. I'll say, are we ready for the vows? But do not come up. When I say, please bring up the rings, that's when you both come up. This is repeated over and over for the deaf maid of honor. When I say, please bring up the rings, that's when you both walk up. I sit near the front and marvel at my dad in a tuxedo. As Etta James at last plays and the bride sails up to the altar, I realize that no one gave me the ring. I have no idea where it might be. I try to make eye contact with someone who can fix this when an anxious woman near me leans over and holds out a wedding ring. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, she says. I snatch it as Bernie says, are we ready for the vows? The maid of honor jumps his cue and starts hobbling towards the altar. Without missing a beat, Bernie shoots me a look to stay put, so I do. But as this old guy inches up, everyone's attention turns back to me, and given my icy demeanor all weekend, they rashly conclude I'm holding the ring hostage. The woman next to me is mortified at having accidentally abetted my rebellion. The maid of honor makes it to the altar, and my dad realizes that I'm not up there. He looks at me, completely betrayed, and shame washes over me. And then anger because I didn't go rogue. But it's the first time my dad expresses hurt. He does care how I feel. It hurts him. And he hasn't known how to communicate his feelings. No one taught him either. Finally, Bernie says, please bring up the rings. I march up, vindicated, hand my dad the ring, and he marries Jenna. Jenna is no picnic, but she pulls him out of the house and makes sure he eats healthy. And they love each other. He has always been my cheerleader, and I've been doing the opposite of cheerleading for him. Maybe I don't have to be the best man, but I'm tired of being the sulky teenager. At the reception, I get up and give this toast. I think every daughter imagines the day she gives her father's hand in marriage. And there's some trepidation because you raise your fathers as best you can. You've taught them how to use their cell phones. And suddenly, they've grown up and you can't control them anymore. At the end of the day, you have to trust that you've prepared them for the world and wish good luck to the person that decides to take them on. My dad has offered me unconditional love my whole life, and I stand here today to give unconditional love back to him.
Approximately 1/3 of the food we eat is the direct result of honeybee pollination. Honey is the only foodstuff that contains all the necessary nutrients to sustain life.
Illuminating, Dolores. Illuminating. Thank you. And thank you, Lena and Rosie, very much. That was wonderful. Wonderful to hear it performed by somebody and have that piece come to life. Lena gave a speech at my wedding, and it was equally as hilarious, though hopefully not as tortured for her to write it. I would like to transition into something more melodic now and introduce to the audience Mariana Barreto. Mari and I have collaborated both with visual art and with music, and she is going to be playing My Old Nord that I sold her back in LA. Mariana is an artist and performer who's now based in California. She's Nicaraguan, Egyptian, and Russian, and spent her childhood living all over the world. And now I'm going to let Mari do her song about denial.
Thanks so much, Kalen. Yeah, so this is probably my saddest and most real song. It's called Fix Me. Will you fix me when I am broken and leave when I'm finally strong? Will you still hold me close when I need you the most? When I'm better, will you be gone? Will you fix me when I'm in pieces? A jigsaw of sad souvenirs. Will you put me together and make me feel better? When I'm better, will you disappear? Will you fix me? Will you fix me? Hey, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Will you fix me when I am tangled? Patient with all of my chains. Will you find me a key and help set me free? When I'm free, will you feel the same? Will you fix me? Will you fix me? Hey, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Will you fix me if I leave my heart open? Cut through the skin and the bones. Will you sew me together and make me feel better? Will you leave when I'm finally whole? Will you fix me? Will you fix me? Hey, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Love me through all my sadness and strings. Will you remember my favorite things about the girl I once was? The girl I once was. Dad never said I was pretty, so I never thought it was true. 10,000 times I've been told my eyes shine, but I didn't believe it till you. Will you fix me? Will you fix me? Hey, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Oh, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Hey, will you fix me? Will you fix me? Will you fix me?
A toxin in bee venom called militin may prevent HIV by breaking down the virus's protective envelope, and bee stings may ease the pain of rheumatoid arthritis by increasing levels of glucocorticoid.
Fascinating, Dolores. Thank you. And thank you, Mari, for that beautiful song. I would love to hear more about the origins of that song. And if there's some backstory that you want to share on Facebook for everybody, I'm sure they would love to know as well. Next up, we have a comedian hailing from Boston. Zenobia has honed her skills in both dive bars and major rooms, including Caroline's New York, the Comedy Store, and Hollywood Improv. And this will be my first time seeing her perform in a live capacity tonight about denial. I'm very excited. Take it away, Zenobia.
Hello. Am I on? Excellent. Okay, so denial. I'm getting older because that's what happens when you don't die. That's just the way that shit works. And I'm less in denial about certain things. Like, I used to believe in evolution. I no longer do. If nothing else, I think the last couple of days, months, years have driven home the fact that we are people, but we are not humans. And I'm about giving up on evolution. I was in denial a couple of years ago about the fact that I am a depressive because, you know, I'm good at my job at comedy, so I'm a depressive. But it is one of those things where a lot of times people get it twisted and they think you just have to be in a ball crying all the time. But a lot of times depression is just waking up like, shit, we're doing this again? Like, fuck, oh, settle up. So I am no longer in denial about being a depressive, which is, I feel like, helped me out a little bit. I don't mean to be the pessimist, but I think the world is definitely worse than we thought, if nothing else. I've been walking around recently just trying to figure out why some of these people even have thumbs, because it doesn't seem like you need them. I don't get it. A lot of things I don't get. I have a bike and I ride it, but I had to get on the bus the other day, and the broad gets on the bus with a baby, which is common. But I'm kind of like, so you made people before you could make a car payment? I'm like, is that what we're doing now? I'm like, okay, fine. But I have to edit myself because I've realized that the voice in my head is always on, and he is kind of an asshole. That's one of the things I'm no longer in denial about. He's kind of an asshole, and I have to be the go-between between him and the world. Because, you know, sometimes he'll say some things that'll get me punched in the face, and I don't think I want to go up that route, right? But I am trying to work on myself because I'm gonna have to be me forever. That's just the way that goes. There are certain things that I am happy about being an asshole. It's entertaining. You know, I feel like in everything that's going on, you can't deny that it's overload most of the time. So I temper it with weed and snacks and the Golden Girls, whole lot of beating off, which is one of my favorite things. I've stopped denying a long time ago that I'm into porn. It's just necessary. It's necessary. Sometimes it's hilarious, and I have to switch to another clip because I don't know what's going on. Watching this one clip, and he's punching her in the tit. I'm like, this is erotic to nobody. I'm like, I need to switch to another clip because I'm not a quitter. But I feel like I'm rambling. This has been awesome. I'm no longer in denial also about the fact that I am enjoying this Kettle One more than I'm enjoying the water that I'm drinking right now. So I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. Thank you for having me. Good night.
Honeycombs are the most efficient structure in nature. Of all possible configurations, they use the least amount of wax.
That was illuminating, Dolores. Thank you so much. And Zenobia, thank you for sharing all of the mountains you've climbed in terms of denial. You have been an inspiration to us. And yeah, there's a lot of shit that we need to get over here. I would like to introduce next a friend of mine, Jamal of the band No Surrender. He's actually going to be coming at us from 686 Park Place in Brooklyn. He's been a friend for almost 2 decades, a roommate of mine in many places, including current home. we've collaborated on a lot of different music projects. Most recently, he has produced some songs for my band Death by Piano. And he's also just finished a remix for Honeysucker, which we're going to get a tiny preview of tonight. But he is a poet in addition to being a producer, and he has a soundscape and a reading that he's going to do for us now. Jamal.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we're not, I thought we kind of discussed not doing the soundscape. So the soundscape will be, will just be the voice. And do apologize. I do think Zenobia mentioned pessimism. So if it makes you feel any better, this is maybe a little bleaker than that. But here's piece, untitled piece, sort of about denial in a lot of different avenues of life. Pouring shards of paisley moon from the carafe onto the dirt before me. The designs are maps to stars. Spirits peer away on the heads of nails with which you will be crucified, and hearts are the hammer. By tearing tongues of ocean I came, cape of night. Cane in the fields, the dogs howl as an 8-bit white noise attenuated to the senses of the shuddering lives of abandon on display. There was love before there was you, a disrobing of every molecule, a coalescing of time, liquid, solid, and mornings for remembering the night before. There is an invader at the window of your soul, and if you know what's good for you, you will let them in. Smile as he leans upon the street lamp post. Cards from home, begging for your return, and a silent gale to tear you asunder. Drunkards bathed in the backwash of 1,000 carousings have entered through the narrows, spinning tambourines and tall tales. But there is nothing else to believe. So I will wash too in the firmament of night travelers. You are road, palace of smoke and rose. We will weave crowns from thorn and dine on our laments until storms lift us from cauldron of sea to a home in sheets of sky. Thank you.
A honeybee can fly at a speed of 15 miles per hour. That is thanks to being able to flap their wings at around 230 beats per second. That's 5 times faster than a hummingbird. They can fly up to 6 miles at a time. In their 6 to 8 week lifespan, a worker bee will fly the equivalent distance of 1.5 times the circumference of the Earth. It takes only 1 ounce of honey to fuel a bee's flight around the world. Yet the honeybee will only produce 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime.
That is
after
so
visiting
fascinating, Dolores.
50
Thank you.
to 100
Thank you.
flowers.
Oh, I take my sugar high. I sing blue, say goodbye. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dolores, for those wonderful bee facts. They are truly fascinating creatures, and we are grateful for them. I want to thank all of our performers tonight, such a diverse cast of creative outlets, from poetry to comedy to short story writing. And for all of you individual talents for being here and being part of this. Thank you so much. I would like to end the show tonight by playing Honeysucker for you. You might have thought that was going to happen at some point. And I'd like to play for you sort of a stripped down version of the song. I do hope that you will check out the recorded version. And Evan's going to share, for those of you who are streaming on Facebook, Evan's going to share a link to a pre-save on Spotify. it helps us a lot when you guys save it in advance. You'll also be the first to know about it. It'll be on your playlist tomorrow. So thank you so much for doing that. If you are a Spotify person, I want to send a special thanks to Jean for helping. I want to send a special thanks to Evan for helping make this happen behind the scenes. You've been wonderful. And without further ado, I want to play you my song about denial. You guys can clap along like this.
Your words are sweet, they're sweet like honey. I eat them up by the spoonful, honey. I cash them out like it's cold hard money. Honey, honey. Oh, I take my sugar high. I sing glowing. You say goodbye. You wanted to believe can drive us there to her knees. They may bankrupt you, leave me alone. Denial's such a slippery slope. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. Hearing what I wanna hear. Honeysucker. Hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. Hearing what I wanna hear. Honeysucker. Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Ooh. No, I don't need much thread to sew the sheets up over my head. But it's real tough to unstitch a story gotten stuck like this. You leave me bankrupt, you leave me low. Denial's such a slippery slope. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. Honeysucker. Hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. Honeysucker. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. I'm hearing what I wanna hear. Hearing what I wanna hear. Honeysucker. Oh, 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 oh. Your words are sweet, they are sweet like honey. I eat them up by the spoonful, honey. I cash them out like it's cold hard money. Honey, your words are sweet, they're sweet like honey. I eat them up by the spoonful, honey. I cash them out like it's cold hard money. Honey.
Good shit.
There we have it. Woo. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out tonight. I'd like you to take a minute to see everybody who's here of our performers. Everybody unmute and wave and cheers.
Woohoo!
Everybody
We're
out
here.
there watching
Thanks, guys.
has a drink, has a joint. hanging
I
out.
can't cheers empty, but yeah.
And everybody does a little bit of work looking in, fixing the denial that they can, because God knows we can't
Good
control
stuff.
other people's denial. Thank you so much for being part of this, and we look forward to being in touch with you online out there. So share your feedback, share your thoughts, share your love, and thank you to each of the performers. Thank you, Evan, and thank you, honeybees and Dolores.
Dolores.
Have a good night, guys.
Your words are sweet, they're sweet like honey. I eat them up by the spoonful, honey. I cash them out like it's cold hard money.